Talking America. Today, we have an order of self-coup. We'll learn about that. With a side of the SAVE Act. All one and the same? Maybe. Maybe they don't have anything to do with each other. But Pat and I are going to talk about that. And we'll probably go on tangents as well. Hi,
Yeah.
Pat.
I think in addition to the side of the SAVE Act, there'll be a couple things on ice, maybe to drink or consume.
And DOGE.
And Doge, yes, a little doji, outdoor dining, a little doji there. It's a very exciting day for me because the Texas Longhorns are in Sweet 16 for basketball. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt. Yeah, and so when we talked, we're thinking about what to talk about this week. You introduced this idea of a self-coup to me. And I think, I'd probably heard it before, but, it really is a more like comparative politics idea and a really great idea from, studying these patterns, from 200 something countries at any given time throughout world history. Sonny, I wanted you to tell us more about what a self-coup is and why we think it might be happening here in the United States of America.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a self-coup, what's happening. And yeah, so a self-coup is you just take those two words, pretty much. A coup is a takeover of a government, right? And self means, yourself. And what it is it's essentially somebody that has been elected fairly, but then tries to take over the government as their own. So become a king, tyranny, blah, blah, blah. So you start out with, okay, well, that's probably happening right now. And we could go through all those things. But the first thing to think about is how he left. He walked off the stage on January 6th, where he tried to have a mob of his followers kill the vice president and anybody else that was in Congress that day, in that building.
I can't believe Antifa did that. That's really clever of Antifa to pull that off.
Antifa? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, it was his followers. I mean, becoming his mercenaries to hurt people, murder, violence, whatever.
Attack the capital of the United States of America.
It was scary as fuck. So he left trying to take over the government. And then the Biden administration, no fucking accountability for. There was a whole commission that Merrick Garland waited for Congress to do something. Those people lost their jobs, and because of their bravery, like fucking Liz Cheney.
Merrick Garland, like these people were afraid of prosecuting crimes because they'd be called biased. Like, I'm sorry, man, like you're going to be called biased no matter what. Guess what? They have an entire propaganda machine dedicated to calling you biased. Like, you're going to be called biased. How about you follow the law and do the right thing? Like, Donald Trump should be in jail if the people who had control over the legal system prosecuted him as they should have under the legal system. They had 4 years, right? The legal system is slow. The American legal system is very slow. Donald Trump is a master of slow walking it and delaying it. That's his whole strategy, his entire life. But 4 years, you can prosecute serious felonies. But this is how he leaves the stage with a blatant act of crime against a violent criminal act. A violent criminal attack against the United States of America, I believe, is not a bias. I believe that's a factual description of January 6th. It was a violent criminal attack on the United States of America perpetrated by the President of the United States of America. Oh, that sounds sort of like a self-coup because he was still in power then, huh, Tracy?
So he did it the first time, and then and like he gets impeached, but the Republicans, whatever, they don't care. So then he's running again because the Republicans have no ideas because they're losers.
And he has a cult. He has a cult. He definitely has a who will go with him no matter what.
Yep. Yes, and that cult is dwindling, thank God. But he said during the election he'd be dictator on day one. Did he not?
He didn't really mean it, Tracy. That's just a joke.
I'm going to go back and look at history, and that motherfucker says the truth. He says his truth all the time.
Oh, okay, he meant it, but it's not really a big deal.
But then enter DOGE. So Elon runs DOGE. They're supposed to make the government efficient. Instead, they fired all the smart people. They fired all the people that knew how to do stuff, and they sent children to steal all of our data. Our social security numbers are on jump drives all over the world, probably on the dark web, right? If it hadn't been stolen already, right? Like, let's be honest. Uh, but that was not to make the government more efficient. It was to break it.
Oh, was it? Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Man.
And it got broken real quick.
Wait, are you telling me the world's richest person does not have our best interest in mind? I thought he was just trying to help out. He did it for free. And Trump donates his salary. Look at these great, brilliant minds just sacrificing for you and me.
But do you feel better?
No, clearly these people are doing this to make themselves more money, right? Like, so my favorite political philosophers, I'll say this probably every episode, are the Wu-Tang Clan. Cash rules everything around me. If you just assume that money is the basis for all politics, for all government regulations, you will understand most of politics and most of government regulations. And clearly that's what Elon Musk was doing, right? They're all looting the treasury now, right?
Yes.
They're all stealing our tax dollars is basically what's happening. And DOGE was part of the way to steal our tax dollars, right? They're cutting spending in those areas, but they're not cutting spending overall. They're taking that money to then give themselves tax cuts, right? Or give themselves some sort of corporate subsidy or something like that. So it's presented and the masses believe it as this like we're cutting this big inefficient government, but what it really is we're taking government services away from you and giving ourselves all the money, like taking all that money for ourselves. And so again, it's this whole thing is just such a great scam.
So you talked about privatization of just, I don't know, government, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about ICE. So those kind of goes away, and then all of a sudden we have these ICE fellows invading LA, Chicago, DC, Portland, I mean, Memphis. You just keep going on. Is the federal government invading American cities, terrorizing citizens in their communities?
Yep.
Look at Minneapolis, right? There's a full-on civil war battle going on, and it's still going on right now. Mm-hmm. It's fucking horrifying. Yes. But anyway, so we got ICE. And now all of a sudden, we have, because of all that's happened in Minneapolis, the Democrats finally got somewhat of a spine and said, we're not funding DHS anymore. So the budget gets passed without funding DHS, but DHS still has a fuck ton of money, but it's in the ICE pot because that came from the big booty bill, is what I called him. Right?
Good one.
So they have a ton of money, but they have chosen to just keep that money in the ICE bucket where they could actually spend it on TSA, FEMA, other things that fall under DHS. Mm-hmm. And that's their TSA agents, just normal working class people that they haven't been paid for like, what, 3-4 weeks now? Mm-hmm. And it's fucking insane. And so they're doing, walkouts, they're not showing thick outs, quitting, getting new jobs, whatever. So the lines keep getting bigger and bigger, and it's spring break. Mm-hmm. And I know you just experienced some of this as well, but part of Project, and I'm going to hand it over to you, but Project 2025, getting back to the privatization, wants to privatize TSA.
Yeah.
So they want to give it over to somebody, and ICE maybe will be them. Let's talk about your experience at the airport.
Yeah, sure. So I think this all ties into the self-coup concept, like really interestingly. So I just flew back from Florida, and I have two little kids, 10 and 6-year-old, and it was just me and them. And we said there's going to be a bunch of there might be some people looking silly in the airport, standing around looking silly. So Donald Trump doesn't look silly for sending this tweet, right? Is basically I tried to make it as like ridiculous as possible. And then I had to answer fun questions like, are they going to murder people at the airports like they murder people on the streets? And so this is interesting, right? These people there, I only saw because we had to get a booster seat by baggage claim. Like, and if you've ever been to Dulles, the oversized bags is way in the far corner of this enormous airport. Like, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of square feet.
Yes.
But this is the corner of this enormous airport. These two guys were just sitting there talking to each other in the corner, hiding in the corner, it seemed like. And then they walked slowly to the restroom, walked into the restroom together. I will leave that there. And then, like, I think just like hid in the bathroom together, right? So, like, I have a lot of sympathy for the TSA people, right? And the TSA people, like, I've overestimating too, right? And it causes this panic all across the country, right? And so it's like this, like, emotional, psychological torture that the Trump administration is putting on people. And then going there, my kids are worried about, they're going to be people with guns who might murder people at the airport. And these are agents of the state. And I'm sure they sent the nicest ICE agents, and I'm sure they're trying to avoid conflict, but like, we have watched ICE, which I looked up. Let's see. They have their budget is between Canada and Italy's military budget. They have a military budget that's probably like 15th in the world, right? Of $37 billion a year, right? And this is like Trump's private army to do whatever he wants with, right? That's not why they're not reallocating money to TSA, because like they might need that money later to terrorize us during elections or to terrorize us in some other ways, right?
Wait, the election?
Yes.
Wait. And that's where this all gets like really into the scary weeds.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been multiple special elections throughout the country since he's been president, and he's been president like a year and 2 months, right? Almost all those elections, Democrats are winning, and they're and even in districts that he won by like a good chunk, it is going like landslide.
Even Mar-a-Lago's district. There's just a Florida House race.
That was this week. So he's like a loser because we know that. But then he's holding up a lot of shit because he runs the Republican Congressional Caucus for the most part, except for a couple people. Thomas Massie, American hero, right? Because of the SAVE Act, which did get passed in Congress. It's held up in the Senate right now because it needs 60 votes. So this is, I think would you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So the SAVE Act, right, is all based on this fiction, right, that our election rules are bad and there's lots of voter fraud. And basically what it does, and we can talk about specifics if you want, but it raises the barrier to entry to voting, right? Like it basically, the easier voting is, the more Americans vote, right? The harder voting is, the less Americans vote. And it also, this is correlated with socioeconomic status, right? If you have more money and time and education, you're better able to meet those barriers. If you have less money and time and education, it's harder to meet those barriers, right? Like, freaking sucks to go to the DMV. You want to take a day off of work to go to the DMV or go to the passport office or anything, like, it's
you gotta get that little picture.
Yeah, like not everybody can like afford a nanny, or and these things cost money too, right? And an interesting thing that I want to mention is, even if they do not cost money financially, they have non-monetary costs in the form of time and potentially, getting there, vehicle, some sort of transportation, having somebody watch your kids, taking off of work, right? These are non-monetary costs, but they're actual costs, right, that we pay.
Yes.
And so, it's one funny story is in 2016, New York, I think you have to switch your registration a month before any election, right? So some states, same day registration. You can register to vote or switch your party affiliation. So that's a low bar, right? Yeah. New York is a month before, and maybe it's changed now. This is 2016. That's a high bar. Donald Trump's children could not vote for him in the 2016 New York Republican Party primary for president because they were originally registered as Democrats and they did not change that registration to Republican a month before the primary, right? So like even Trump's kids can get tripped up by these regulations. And so that's basically what they're trying to do, right? You're going to make and because socioeconomic status is correlated with race in the United States of America and all these other things, you're going to have sort of more probably a whiter electorate. You're going to have a richer electorate. You're going to limit the electorate. You're going to have a lot of people who show up who think they're good to vote and then they're not good to vote. So it's a way to try to reduce the electorate and give themselves some chance of winning. Because you're right. Here's my phrase: if we have a free and fair election in 2026 midterms, Democrats are going to clean house, right? There's going to be an enormous Democratic
not by
majority.
merit.
In my life, I'm not sure there will be free and fair elections in the United States of America in 2026 because this self-coup is happening through the SAVE Act and other things where they're basically trying to make elections and everything else run as poorly as possible so they can both cast doubt on them if they lose and then also give themselves a better chance of winning in the first place through these sort of nefarious means.
Right. And yeah, I mean they're messing with how we vote on multiple sides because, add in ICE to the SAVE Act. They want to, I mean, Steve Bannon said it like earlier this week. Oh, having ICE at the airports is a trial run for having ICE at the polls. And now the fun fact is I've seen pictures of these ICE fellows. Have you seen any of them yet?
Yeah, I saw it. So I have this video. I took a like 10-second video of them when I saw them. My man it was floor versus ice, and floor almost won. Like I thought about like taking it out. Like my kids had no idea I was taking video, so just like you can hear my kids' voices. And like so I don't like that my sweet little kid's voice or anything, but I've thought about taking ice. Like this was not our best and brightest, right? To steal a phrase.
No.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's the scary part, right? To tie this back into January 6th and the self-coup, where are the Proud Boys at, my friend? Right? Like, I haven't seen these people. Exactly, precisely. Like, did they get new government jobs? Right? Like, the stand by and stand down or whatever that he said during the debate, these people who were the people who attacked our country on January 6th, and that is just a fact, and it's an objective statement that our country was attacked on January 6th, 2021 by Trump supporters wearing Trump, right. I think they're now ICE. Right. I think that's why they wear masks. I think they wear masks so you can't take their pictures and match them to the thing. Right. Like, and so this is a private army that the Republican Congress has given Trump to do what he wishes with. And, the one thing I will say in the limit we have on this is mocking that.
So we've got to like wrap it up because we've got shit to do and whatnot. But it's like, he's trying to intimidate us. He's already like, I forget who his name is, Michael something or another, that wrote the book, The Fifth Risk. It's a great book.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But it's like about Trump's first term where they broke things. They got rid of a lot of the brain trust. They pushed people out, right? And DOGE was like the final like band-aid of any sanity in the government, people that actually like these are dream jobs for people. And I don't think they understand that. It's they intimidate people in their communities. Now where we travel, maybe at the polling place, but they're wieners, when I asked you if you've seen them, there's like a bunch of pictures on the socials, and maybe I'll find one. But it's like everybody wants to give them like a wedgie. They're just like wieners. These aren't strong humans, and they're probably people desperate for money at this point, right? Because they come in all colors and sexes and whatnot, and they are showing their face at the airport. So we're lucky about that. And we can take their picture. And, they're there to serve us. Yes. They get paid with our fucking money. And now Trump because he keeps losing. It's just losers that follow him. Now he wants to create a poll tax with the SAVE Act because you can't use your real ID. Your wife is fine because she's got a passport. Can't use the real ID that took 20 years to get after 9/11 to like make official and that we are supposed to fly with. But now you have to use something that demands that proves your citizenship. So a passport, a birth certificate, and if you change your name when you got married and you still got that name, but it doesn't match the birth certificate, I don't know what you're gonna do. You better go get a fucking passport, right? And it's stupid. It's just a franchise, but I mean, we're gonna win in November. And we're going to get more people out there active and start learning their power. I'm going to pitch my book right now.
What's your book called, Sonny?
My book is called How to Be an Active American Citizen.
That sounds great.
A practical workbook for regular people. And it's an activities book. It's 73 pages. And there's places to write down stuff, and you can become a fucking American hero, learn how to volunteer on a campaign, learn how to call your representatives, and there's another one, go to a public meeting.
Oh, awesome. I'll have my endorsement. My hippy dippy take now is we have more power inside of ourselves than we realize, right? And I think that all those activities are ways to help realize our power, right? I think that when we get even hippy dippier, there's like a magic to doing those activities and creating a difference in the world. So that's such a cool book.
It can manifest.
Yes, precisely. It's actual manifestation, right? Because you are actually doing it, not just thinking about it.
Yeah. All came out of frustration and not being able to find a job last year. So I'm pretty happy with that. But that's it. And that's the fucking, I've lived the American dream. Because of all of this structure and regulations and whatnot. And they're trying to take that away from younger people, from other people, immigrants, whatever. It's like this country is there for everyone, and everyone deserves to live their fullest potential.
Yes, and I think that that's what the MAGA voters, unfortunately don't realize, and I hope that they do, is that means all of us, right? It's an attack on all of us. It's not us versus them, right? Like they are us. We are all the same thing. There's a very small group of people and corporations attacking all of us. And hopefully we can all work together to make all of us better in the long run here.
So fuck the billionaires.
And anyone who helps the fascists. So just make fun of them as much as you can.
Exactly. And hook 'em horns.
People do.
And I think we're done.